Hello, everybody, and welcome to yet another version review. I mean, you were expecting this video to come out, and here we are with our new nation, ladies and gentlemen. 5.0 has launched, Natlan is here. We are so close, yet so far, to reaching the end of this journey, this story, whatever the fuck is going to happen after Sneznaya. We're going to see it, I guess, but again, we're like 2 years away from that. We still gotta wait, god damn it. So, 5.0, Natlan is here, a lot of stuff was announced. This patch also fell in with the anniversary on 24th to 21st of September, which means there was some anniversary stuff, although, Genshin anniversaries and how they are. But, nevertheless, we got a lot to talk about, so buckle up, because, there's a lot. When a new nation drops, there's so much stuff. So, why don't we begin, of course, with the main thing, the Archon Quest. I would say the Archon Quest was fine. The first two acts, I always say arcs, the first two acts of the Archon Quest were perfectly fine. The pacing was, again, perfectly fine. But I can't finalize my opinions on these acts until all of them are released to see how everything, falls in together and, how each act affects the final story, right? But honestly, again, they are fine. They aren't groundbreaking stories, but not horrendous to get through. Like, the pacing, again, was perfectly fine. Things moved on really well. Things were finally interesting. So, again, these first two acts, perfectly fine. It's definitely not like Fontaine, where the first act is really, really nice, and then the second act is horrendous. So, again, I'm pretty happy to see this. Like, the only thing that was kind of on pacing was getting into the Night Realm, where you had to go back and forward a bit. Right after the Mavuika fight with Capitano. Like, then, you gotta get so much time to get into... You gotta spend so much time to get into the Night Realm stuff. Like, that was a bit boring, but then afterwards, everything's fine and interesting. So yeah, like, for the Archon Quest, perfectly fine. For now, of course. But I actually expect things to go finely. Genuinely, it seems like writing is somewhat better. Anyway, though, that's the Archon Quest. Exploration, then. The exploration was okay. Honestly, though, if you told me this was a Sumeru expansion, I would believe you, because these first areas to me did not feel unique enough. It just feels like a Sumeru desert, an expansion to it. Like, again, it reeks of Sumeru. Like, something doesn't feel as unique as it should be. Although I do expect that to change with newer areas. Much how Sumeru started like an extended Mondstadt, honestly, because everything was just green forest, and only one area felt really unique, outside of the cities, of course, right? But once the desert areas came in, you could feel the separation. So that's why I think it's gonna come out with Natlan. The second and third area that is going to be introduced will genuinely feel much different. But again, first impressions just not that good, honestly. I did like the graffiti on, on the mountains and everything. That was nice, but again, it still felt very Sumeru-y. But yeah, like, I expect newer areas to have really nice, unique set pieces that will separate them. Other than that, not a lot of puzzles, because all of the focus was given to the Sauruses. And I'm kind of torn on these guys. They are fine, thank fuck they're not another gadget, but it also makes me feel like my characters are useless. I'm not really getting a lot of use out of my exploration characters, or just in general, because I'm not using their abilities to solve puzzles. And yes, I was just about to mention that you can use Natlan characters as a substitute for the Sauruses, so that you don't need to transform into them. But you aren't exactly using your character's abilities. You're doing the same thing as the Sauruses, just with a different coat of paint on a character. But what annoys me more, though, like with this thing, is the controls. The Sauruses control like ass. And honestly, it's gotta be intentional, so that you pull for Natlan characters to replace them. Like, it feels, again, intentional that these fuckers control so badly, so that you pull for the better controlling characters, right, and use them. It's like, things are starting to escalate in the forcing to pull. And let me not start with the Night Soul mechanic. You can check the Abyss review for more on that, since it's more combat related. but depending on how things move forward, Night Soul might end up what Pneumosia thankfully didn't. Where Pneumosia slowly died down, actually quite quickly died down, or even its appearance, like its interactions with enemies and stuff, right? The environment and the exploration used Pneumosia, but it wasn't really annoying to go find a Pneumosia block, right? But for combat, again, things died out pretty quickly in terms of interactions, and even then, Pneumosia was very, simple. It was just an extra hit with Pneuma Orusia, right? But Night Soul is a lot more complicated. So it seems, and with the things that are in the game right now, and I'm kind of fearful of things that are coming out, are gonna come out, Night Soul might end up severely annoying and might even become mandatory. I hope not, but yeah, and I guess I can mention some of the enemies since we mentioned Night Soul. The tribes people all around are just reskinned Eremites for the most part. They're a basic enemy, and they're fine. I fucking hate the Wayobs. Who the fuck thought of this enemy? I like the arena, where you need to destroy their shield, else they drain your energy, and if you destroy it, you get a lot of energy back. But why the fuck do they drain your energy when they deploy the arena? Why the fuck are they punishing the player for existing, rather than punishing the player for doing badly? I don't understand it. Also, there are so many characters whose elemental application is on their bursts, so all of these characters are basically useless, nullified against the Wayobs. But not Natlan characters, am I right? Since all of them use skills, huh? For fuck's sake. Why? It's so fucking simple. The Wayob deploys the arena, you destroy the shield and you get a lot of energy back if you just didn't have it, or you don't break the shield and it drains all of your energy. Draining your energy at the start of the arena, again, completely nullifies any burst based characters. Yeah, you could say that, you'll just use your burst right before, it ends the arena if the energy wasn't drained from the start. But again, you can see that they are punishing the player just for existing, for going against the Wayob, instead of punishing you for doing badly. And again, and the trick of, let's say, using your burst right before the arena ends, if your energy wasn't drained by the start, right, would just be a cool trick. Also, ain't no fucking way you're gonna use all of your bursts right before the arena ends, which you also won't use your bursts right before the arena starts as well. Also, imagine if they put these guys in the Abyss and they immediately start with the arena. You're just gonna fuck you right as the thing starts. So, again, these Wayobs feel like ass. I like the idea. I like their elemental shields. They're not elemental. They are base shields that just count elemental application. So finding characters that have good elemental application and putting them in a working team is a good idea. But again, this fucking energy draining thingy, genuinely pisses me off. It's so annoying. The avatars of lava are fine. And other the other pyro enemies, there's literally the avatars of lava and there's the other thingy, and they're basically the same with these magma things. But those fucking new mechas, oh boy, those shitty automatons are the perfect example of the Night Soul Pneumosia comparison I told you. Unlike Fontaine enemies, where Pneumosia was a helping hand, it mainly stunned an automaton or something. For these guys, you're forced to use the Natlan character, else they never lower their resistances, and these resistances are general damage reductions, so Viridescent ain't gonna help you. Bypass it. From what I researched, they don't actually have resistances, it's just a flat damage reduction. But no, if there's a character in the Night Soul state, then they might enter the mode and resistances will be lower. Fuck off. Genuinely fuck off. You will hear more about enemies in the Abyss videos, of course, most likely, so check those out. I need to also note the bounties/requests. The changes because of the tribes are fine, but why did they remove the Battle Pass missions? There was no reason. I don't care even if I finished the Battle Pass 2 weeks before a new version. There is no reason to remove these missions from the Battle Pass. Why? Genuinely, why? What about the other bounties and requests? Why was this change implemented? Why? Why are we taking away options for players to complete the Battle Pass? Genuinely stupid. World quests were honestly nothing crazy noticeable. They worked fine. Like, generally, I cannot really tell you any of the world quests that really stuck with me. I do like that area with the I think it's Phlogiston, right? The pillars and everything. That was kind of cute. But like again, I can't really tell you that any of the world quests really stuck with me. They flowed very well, and that's perfectly fine. I liked the Tribe Chronicles idea, although I don't know how to feel about the fact that it seems that character quests for 5-star characters seem to be tied to these, if you haven't noticed. On one hand, I guess no keys needed if you cared about those keys, and you do get the tribe experience. But on the other hand, you will be constantly notified that there is a quest available. And if you don't really care for the character, then fuck you, I guess. Like, that's the main problem, honestly. That, yes, it's nice that you get the XP, but because they are tied to the tribe XP, to getting the tribe XP, up quickly, you gotta do a quest for, again, maybe a character you don't really care about. It's a double-edged sword. We'll see. But next up, there's the local legends. I know I'm jumping a bit from enemies to quest to enemies, but hey, the local legends. Now, these guys had major changes. Mainly that there are these special local legends in the Night Realm that you need to defeat 3 times for, it seems, something in the future as you can to activate all of the pillars. But there's like a whole achievement list for every local legend with like a specific challenge, to a specific way to defeating them to get the achievement. But again, like, these Night Realm guys are the main thing, where you defeat them 3 times, a pillar lights up more and more, and then you're done. Honestly though, I hated a lot of the local legends, because they simply weren't difficult in a well-designed way. They all relied on bullshit to be difficult. And you know who's coming. The Fatui Trio is the perfect example. The Fatui Trio of 3 basic enemies, although these 3 basic enemies are still 1.0, are still release versions, so with their elemental shields, you gotta get the specific counter, else the shield doesn't break. But the extreme bullshit is, of course, that if you kill each of them, something happens. You kill the Pyro Fatui, and everybody else gets an attack boost, which kind of basically one-shots you, honestly, if you get hit by an attack. But, like, okay, that's kind of manageable. But then kill the Cryo Fatass, the Cryo Fatui, and the giant one-shot cryo field spawns. Or kill the Electro guy, and a one-shot explosion happens. Like, legitimate, they're one-shot, you're not surviving. They're just simply not difficult at all. Because of these garbage mechanics, they're just severely annoying to go against. And do that 3 times, by the way, remember that for the achievements. Like, why? And as for the local legends in the Night Realm, they are these special trials, actually, instead of being just a tough enemy. They usually have a special mechanic, but that for some reason, they're not really based on Genshin's basic mechanics. There's a pairing local legend. I mean, in Genshin, where even the parry characters aren't exactly parry characters. Beidou and Yunjin don't exactly counter an attack with a parry, which is the purpose of a fucking parry. And then they make you use the Parry Traveler, which has appeared like twice in events. There's another local legend that is based on perfect dodging. Like, they can't be serious. Right, perfect dodging in Genshin. The Hydro Wave and magically knowing you need to charge attack the projectiles to break the shield, like you freeze them with cryo, which the game tells you, but then it doesn't fucking tell you need to shoot these projectiles back with charge attacks to break the shield. Like, yes, it's like the cryo hypothesis, you know, the enemy you might have never fought or fought like 3 years ago last time. It hasn't appeared in the Abyss in forever, nor has any character used the cryo hypothesis materials. So like, this mechanic, charge attacking projectiles, cryo projectiles, appears once in the entire fucking game. And again, you might have never like fought that thing because you don't fucking need it. Right, like how the fuck are you supposed to know charge attack the projectiles without being told? Because again, it's not a mechanic in the game at all. So yeah, like local legends became interesting in the wrong ways. We went one step forward with introducing these Night Realm local legends and like making them be challenges, like special challenges instead of just Unga Bunga. But we also went 2 steps back because we did absolute bullshit. Local legends in the overworld have bullshit mechanics, And then these local legends, these trials, are not really based on Genshin's mechanics. They're just dumb shit. They're like pulled out of, again, events that happened 2 years ago with a parry. Why? Just why? Legitimately, why? Anyway, I think that's enough for the permanent stuff. Like, that's about it. We talked about the Arc Conquest. That's the exploration. New enemies kind of suck. And world quests were okay. Bounties and requests, I don't understand why they removed the Battle Pass mission, genuinely. But they're fine. So, I guess let's move on. Let's check the events, right? So, we got an exploration event in quotation marks that always appears at the start of a new nation. A Dodoko Bomberman clone. An interesting combat event. And some stuff for the anniversary. Let's get that out, actually. Wow. 4 years into the game's life cycle, and now we get a standard 5-star selector. Not even weapons included. Ah, yes. The standard 5 stars that, except for Tinari, honestly, they have heavily lost their steam. What a joke. Like, genuinely, like, I understand you might have never gotten one of these characters, but do you genuinely think you're gonna use them? Like, for what? Mona? Barely useful. Keqing? Barely useful right now. There's like many more Electro characters that are better than her, right? Like, they're fine, but again, they're heavily lost their steam. Diluc, poor man is gonna get fucked with the nation, and you know that. Jan, I mean, I guess he's useful for Furina teams, but like, there's other characters that can do her job much better. Much better, and for non-Furina teams, every other Anemo character is better than her. Poor Chichi, rest in peace, honestly. And then there's Tinari, which is Tinari, and he is actually good, and Desha. Who's Desha? Like, yeah, except for Tinari, that's it. And all of their cons, like for all of these standard 5 stars, their constellations are, except for Tinari. Like, genuinely, like, Tinari is the only useful character in the standard 5 stars. And that's what we get for 4 fucking years. Anyway, the main event, because fuck the anniversary, the main event is the exploration event that again happens every nation. It was exactly like any other of one of these, and that's okay. It does its job to introduce you to the nation, have some fun with like parkouring that was with the Saurians and stuff. And yeah, again, it works finely. Again, it's something that happens because you're gonna be stuck doing the Arc Conquest and exploring, so you can't really take the players away for an event for that. Although once again, why the fuck can't they change how the challenges look? You will be exploring, see a challenge in the distance, and get happy only for the event icon to pop on the minimap and disappoint you. Seriously, it's the most basic quality of life, get 4 years, and nope. Other than that, it was an expected event, as we said. Then, for minor events, the Dodoko event sucked because it was a shitty Bomberman clone. I mean, the fact that the bombs didn't explode automatically and the enemies posed no threat instantly tells you that it's going to suck. Like, just copy Bomberman as it is, for fuck's sake. Why do we need to do this garbage? So yeah. The combat event, named Of Thorns and Crowns, was actually kind of interesting. You had 2 halves, where one half was dedicated to completing a challenge, much like the local legends in the Night Realm, although this time it was actually based on Genshin's mechanics, while the other one was combat using buffs gained from the first half. Depending on how you performed in the first half, you then gained appropriate buffs. It was interesting because you actually had to know a thing or two about the game to get the full buff effects and then get a good score. Make a team that, again, goes really well against the challenge set for you, and then another team that's just gonna beat up the enemies. Just the thing that, on some stages, I did feel like the first team was going kind of to waste, because the challenge was just very simple. Like, a lot of teams would have been able to do the challenge, right? But again, like, the challenge was just a little bit too easy, and it felt like I was wasting that half, kind of like that. Although, as the event went on, I kind of didn't feel really like that. It was just like the first 2 stages that gave me this feeling. But overall, it was generally fine. It's better than just a shitty score time attack, or a super hard enemy with complete garbage mechanics, instead of actually being difficult. Right, so yeah, like, I actually kind of liked it. And then, Tied to the anniversary was a simple photo taking event. If you like those, sure, but also you can see how much they cared because it wasn't voiced. Like, it shows that no fucks are given to the anniversary, else this event would be voiced. Hey, how about all of the Fontaine patches where you had the main event be voiced, and then there was usually a secondary event that was also voiced? Why was the anniversary event not voiced? And also it could have contained more characters to take photos with, more interactions, because it's a fucking celebration. So, events were meh. Main event was expected with no surprises, Dodogo was boring as fuck, combat event was interesting, but not that much, and the anniversary is still a joke 4 years in. There simply is no atmosphere of a celebration. It's clear they don't care. And those are the main things in 5.0. We did get some quality of life stuff, like the artifact generator, although in classic MiHoYo fashion, it has like 50 rules to piss you off when wanting to use it. A new world level, which changes nothing extremely noticeable, mainly that bosses always give you 3 materials, which is nice and welcome, but it's 4 years late. We got a lot of Primo rewards for doing the Archon quest during 5.0, okay, that's nice. But the big one is the weapon banner, definitely the biggest one. Instead of needing 2 points to guarantee the weapon of your choice, you only need 1. That is generally a crazy saving grace for getting some 5-star weapons. Seriously nice. They also changed the 50-50 on characters to 55-45. Wow, crazy. And some other smaller stuff like finally being able to track character regional specialties. Thank fuck, not needing to use to use an interactive map always to get character materials, right? Although it's not super perfect. Honestly, there are some things they need to tweak. All nice, but way too late into the game's lifespan. Like generally, these two should have appeared 2 years in at least. You can tell that competition is pinching at the Genshin team in general to change their ways of thinking, with both good and bad results, honestly. So all in all, Natlan is on to a pretty good start, and we'll see how the future unfolds, right? Thank you for watching, hope you liked the video. Yes, the next thing should be the Kinitz review. I'm just waiting a bit on some confirmation on, builds and stuff, to make sure that, of course, we always give accurate information. And that's about it. Again, thank you for watching, subscribe to the channel to help it out, like the video if you liked it, and I'll see you in another video. Goodbye.